Howdy, 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 my name is Sasuke, and welcome back to Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. In the last episode, we covered killer fursuits, a tank that sings badly, umbrellas that eat people, a thing, was it? An art installation that destroys mankind and everything it stands for, and a horse made out of trees that turns you into a person made out of trees if you touch it. In this episode, we're going to be checking out Resurrection Projection, Heart Attack on a Plate, the Mechanical Choir, Combat Boots, and the Never Want Lamp. I'm going to say right now, Resurrection Projection sounds like it's a movie projector that makes you come back to life whether you want to or not. And the Heart Attack on a Plate might be a Big Mac, but maybe not actually a Big Mac so that nobody gets sued. So, well, it's safe, but it also looks like it's exactly what I thought, sort of. We'll have to find out. SCP-806 is to be kept in sealed in Containment Locker 8 at Biosite 66, because that's where all the cool deadly things live. Researchers interested in utilizing the item are to contact Dr. Bridge for an interview. 806-1A has been given a standard humanoid containment suite at Biosite 66. 1A is permitted level 0 clearance if supervised by at least one level 1 personnel at all times. One may only be created upon explicit written approval by both Dr. Bridge and Dr. Seidelman of Site 66 or O5 approval. I just realized that there's no period after Doctor for right there. Anyway, SCP-806 is a large modified film projector originally built circa 1900. The item's lens has been replaced with one constructed of several dozen thin layers of shaved precious stones and, as of yet, unidentified materials. The original projection bulb has been replaced by an LED array. Originally built for a 35mm film, most inner mechanisms have been retrofitted with similar components of various complex alloys. These modifications also allow for most film sizes to be played. Additional mechanisms have been installed, allowing for multiple spools of film to be played through the item without interruption. When active, 806 creates biological material through an unknown process, which arranges itself in a manner that recreates a nude copy of a deceased subject in the open space before the screen, as they were at the time of the latest recording used. Note that fictional characters depicted are not restored, only the actor of that character will be recreated. The target appears random, favoring whichever figure has the most on-screen time, and cartoon films have no effect within 806. Matter produced by this effect appears to first manifest as needle-thin rays of light projected from the lens. It creates no shadow or effect on the films being played, and appears to become biological matter at the point that it touches the forming human subject. Copies created this way are henceforth SCP-806-1. In order to produce one, film reels containing recordings of the deceased must be projected onto a silver lenticular cinema screen. Between 13 and 27 hours of recording is required to recreate the subject. At least one individual must be viewing the film throughout the duration of the phenomenon, or formation will cease and gradually reverse. If the projector is shut down, the instance of one will fail, usually dissolving into a mixture of blood and graphite dust. Two tests wherein the process was intentionally interrupted at the 19th hour led to unfinished physical bodies collapsing onto the floor. The more formed instance succumbed to brain death, wherein the less complete instance simply died. Finalized instances of one lack any color pigment, as if in monochrome. This effect is independent of the colorization of the original source material. Tissue removed from instances will gradually gain color pigment through unknown processes, but decay unusually rapidly and do not survive transplantation. Complete instances of one usually retain most memories of their past life, and initially will believe that they are the original individual. All instances save for 1A die of cardiac arrest between 70 and 75 hours after final formation. Use of 806 as a means of investigating film-based anomalies is pending review. SCP-1229. We'll be there eventually. Probably within this year. 806-1A in Discovery. 1A is the first known subject recreated through 806 and the only still surviving individual. A is a young woman of indeterminate heritage appearing in her early 20s, apparently born in the early to mid-20th century. For an as of yet unknown reason, 1A appears to be afflicted by a form of dissociative amnesia, which prevents her from recalling any personal information regarding her original life, including her own name. No records have yet been found regarding a person of 1A's appearance or general timeline. 1A was recovered alongside 806 during its initial recovery. Agent Fish, embedded in the local police force, was investigating a call that youths had broken into a local theater which had been closed for the holidays. There, the agent encountered an unknown male angrily shouting while attempting to gather up 806 and other paraphernalia, and 1A in a state of confusion and distress. The unknown male escaped Agent Fish and civilian personnel. MTF Alpha 4, the Pony Express, was called to recover 806, 1A, and approximately 50 hours of various types of film. The film contained 5.8 seconds of A laughing and saying "I love you," repeating, and various states of quality and coloration. Okay, that's weird. Then there's the heart attack on a plate. So it looks like some sort of grilled cheese with an egg on it. I was half expecting it to be a literal heart on a plate that's like shaking. SCP-807 is to be kept in a locked safe deposit box at Site-19's high-value item storage facility. Standard positive action defenses, explosive, chemical, biological, and memetic, are to be in place at all times according to the standard operating procedure. 807 may be removed from its storage container with proper authorization for experimentation. All personnel working around it must be well fed and should wear oral restraints to prevent accidental ingestion. 807 is a salmon-colored ceramic dinner plate 20 centimeters in diameter with the words "Last Chance Diner" printed on the edges in white. A small piece has been chipped out of one edge of the plate just above the letter D. There are no manufacturer's marks, and to date all efforts to find the restaurant in question have failed. SCP-807 transmutes any food served upon it into a variation of its original form with high concentrations of fat, sodium, and cholesterol. Once transmuted, the food in question is enhanced in flavor and aroma to preternatural levels, to the point where the desire to consume said food becomes nearly irresistible. Anyone who does consume said food, however, will undergo cardiac arrest within 5 minutes of finishing their meal due to sudden and massive fatty buildup in the major arteries. In some cases, immediate bypass surgery has been shown to be effective in saving the life of the subject. Addendum A, recorded transmutations. Cucumber sandwich made with fresh cucumbers, white bread, and 2 cc's butter became a fried egg sandwich. A vegetarian patty with fresh lettuce, tomato, and onion with 4 cc's of ketchup, 4 cc's of mustard, and 2 slices of dill pickle on a whole wheat bun. It became a Luther burger served on 2 Krispy Kreme donuts with 3 beef patties consisting of a total of 0.5 kilograms of beef, served with lettuce, tomato, onion, 8 cc's of ketchup, 8 cc's of mayonnaise, 8 cc's of mustard, and a fried dill pickle on the side. Luther burger. Data expunged. Further testing of high-fat foods with 807 has been suspended due to the high number of casualties. That sounds kind of terrifying. I also did not know the Luther burger was an actual thing. I thought that was just a thing that came up in Boondocks. Now that I know it's an actual thing, I'm afraid. So, the mechanical choir. Well, it's not Keter, so it's not terrifying. It may very well still be terrifying. Euclid doesn't really mean anything about whether or not it's terrifying. Save things have been completely ghastly. 808 is currently unable to be moved from its original location. As such, Armed Containment Site 27 has been built around the area in which it was found. That's a good sign of it being a Euclid thing that's still messed up. It is contained within a 6 by 7 meter by 17 meter containment tank. Unit is constructed from 10 centimeter thick walls of polyvinyl chloride. Well, so that's what PVC stands for. Covered by 25 centimeter thick acoustic foam. Furthermore, wooden sound dampeners are constructed 3 meters from the container to further insulate the object. These dampeners are susceptible to regular degradation, and as such are to be replaced by disposable dudes. The way that's written sounds like it's saying they're supposed to replace it, like, with disposable dudes, but they almost definitely mean disposable dudes go in and replace the foam. 808's housing, Area 808A, is currently set with blank explosive charges. The public cover story is that the property has been purchased by the military as a training area, allowing for complete destruction of the object if required. Barring maintenance, a 30-meter buffer zone is to be maintained around the object at all times. Once monthly, 808's tank is to be opened and the main body is to be inspected for degradation. If sufficiently degraded, a diluted phosphoric acid spray is to be applied, then the object is to be power washed and coated with further rust-proofing agents. Machinery originally found within the structure has been removed to a storage area 250 meters to the southwest. In the event that any unconnected machinery in the vicinity of 808 begins to operate, all personnel are to evacuate to Evac Point Beta. As a precaution to repel invaders, automated motion-sensitive flame-based defensive installations around the object will activate in the event of a site lockdown. Description. SCP-808 is a mechanical construct standing approximately 16 meters tall, with a base approximately 5 by 6 meters in area. The object is roughly cylindrical in shape, the upper 3 meters tapering to a point. 808 seems to be built primarily of steel and iron, with several smaller brass fittings. Randomly placed lengths of cable and chain are attached haphazardly to the lower areas, with the majority of the machine constructed of steel beams and gears and simple clockwork patterns. Components seem to have been taken from various industrial machinery with no power source. The machinery forming 808 runs constantly with a low grind, despite no apparent power source. The uppermost portion of 808 is constructed in a somewhat humanoid form. This portion is covered in a gray carpeting and a white wedding dress, giving it a soft, somewhat feminine appearance. The effigy possesses 4 limbs, the upper limbs appearing somewhat vestigial, and the lower limbs apparently taken from a mannequin. The face seems to be a speaker system, possibly constructed of copper. While 808 runs, a high-pitched whine is emitted from the humanoid construct. As 808's structure degrades through rusting, or is tampered with, attempts to disassemble the object, or through application of force, the noise's volume will increase dramatically. The noise will automatically tune to frequencies capable of causing local metals to resonate. After growing loud enough, approximately 70 decibels, non-electronic components of machinery affected by this resonance will spontaneously activate. This anomalous activity will cease once rust has been removed from 808. No psychological effects have appeared in those exposed to the sound. Direct damage to the humanoid construct has caused it to emit approximately something 100 decibels scream, killing 2 and deafening at least 20 personnel on site, as well as causing extensive property damage. No further attempts to deconstruct or destroy it are to be taken except in extreme emergencies. 808 is located within an abandoned factory in blank blank, France. An agent embedded as a local city worker heard rumors of a constant screech in the local countryside and called in a small investigation. Upon discovery of SCP-808 within its structure, the 4 present agents were assaulted by a group of civilians killed by agents in self-defense. An investigation of the structure revealed a sect dedicated to the Church of the Broken God. Blank associated members of the sect were captured and taken into Foundation custody. Documents and paraphernalia retrieved from civilian residences revealed that 808 had been under construction for approximately 7 months and remains unfinished after being acquired by the Foundation. Documentation reveals that 808 was intended to be a musician of sorts in preparation for the eventual return of the Broken God. Associated civilians have since been terminated under the guise of an attack by a mundane terrorist cell. Security for a location redacted has since been increased. Addendum, a note from Dr. Bridge. Judging by the main structure, I'd say it was intended to be mobile. It has bits that look like the beginnings of legs, wheels as well. It's quite concerning that something the size of 808 has been built outside our knowledge. However, I find it even more disturbing that a cult of the Broken God grew this large without alerting the Foundation. In light of this recent growth, I recommend increasing surveillance on known church activities. I'm pretty sure I have the Church of the Broken God hub bookmarked to get around to at some point for an SCP sidestep video. It's just... I believe it has a lot of SCPs in it that I haven't seen yet, and I don't want to get all out of order and whatnot. So, combat boots. They're safe, and it's not a very long entry, but who knows? Maybe the factory made them. SCP-809 is to be kept in a secure storage locker in Site-19. No additional security beyond a standard keypad lock is necessary for containment. A room outfitted with monitoring equipment and 4-point restraints is recommended for testing on unwilling subjects. As a blank 2000 something, please contact Agent Blank to confirm availability of 809. Description: SCP-809 is a heavily stained and worn pair of leather boots, designated 1 and 2 for the left and right boot, respectively. Forensic analysis of the boots confirms that the stains are composed of clay-rich soil and human blood. The design of 809 is consistent with those of boots worn by French infantry in the last years of World War I. I don't think I've ever seen World War I written out like that. 809 was discovered by Foundation personnel in the attic of an abandoned building in blank, France. Investigation confirms that the building was once used as a field hospital from 1915 to 1917. 809 is activated by a subject donning both boots and closing his or her eyes for 5 to 10 seconds. Upon activation, subjects experience a vision from the point of view of a French corporal in battle. Doctors Blank and Blank, both amateur military historians, have identified the setting as one of the innumerable trenches dug along the French-German border during the war. For the duration, the vision is perceived as reality. Note that the subject need not be willing or conscious. Activation may be achieved under sedation as long as the subject's eyes are closed. While minor details differ through separate tests, the general outline of each vision remains constant. Subjects relive the experience of a French infantryman being stabbed repeatedly through the abdomen by the bayonet of a German soldier, followed by approximately 7 hours lying in the bottom of the trench before expiring from blood loss and trauma due to various internal organs, or trauma to various internal organs. Upon death in the vision, the subject will awaken. To an outside observer, the entire experience only lasts 40 to 60 seconds. 809 has been confirmed to induce severe post-traumatic stress disorder in 80% of the subjects upon first use, 95% of subjects upon a second use, and 100% of subjects after 3 or more uses. Data collection is ongoing, but preliminary results consistently indicate permanent insanity after 5 to 7 uses. Class A amnestics are available upon request to personnel with level 1 security clearance or higher who have been volunteered for testing. Addendum: those with level 2 security clearance should see document A. As of blank 2000-something, ownership of primary access privileges to 809 have been given to Agent Blank for use in interrogation of suspected GOC or ORIA agents. Repeated applications of 809 has proven to be both more cost-effective and less likely to result in accidental death than traditional methods of enhanced interrogation. That makes sense. I mean, if you need to get information out of, like, these people, the best way to, I guess, would go about that would be to have them wear some boots that, for you, is 40 seconds of them sitting there with their eyes closed, but for them is bleeding out for 7 hours after being violently stabbed by a German soldier in World War I with a bayonet. Makes sense. And then that brings us to the Never Want lamp, which is Euclid. SCP-810 is to be kept in a transparent container and should be kept under video surveillance at all times. During experimentation, it is to be only handled by disposable dudes or while wearing gloves. After experiment is concluded, any disposable dudes who may own the SCP are to be terminated. Description: object appears to be a standard oil lamp dating back some 1 to 2,000 years. No biological material has been observed on the SCP, and the circumstances of its recovery make exact dating impractical. When touched by a human, an inscription appears in Aramaic. It reads, roughly, "Ask what you will, and you shall never want for it." If the SCP is firmly grasped by a human for at least 30 seconds, the inscription will change to the holder's native language. This change is physical and has been recorded. If the holder of the object expresses any of their desires verbally, the SCP will vibrate briefly. The holder must, on some level, genuinely want what they wish for. The holder will, from then on, have no desire for what they wished for. This would appear to include overriding basic instinctual needs. The experiment log 810 blank, which isn't even here, so I guess we won't. Once a person has been granted a wish by the SCP, it has no effect on them for at least 4 years. Longest recorded time between a previously affected person being affected and touching the SCP again. If a person touches 810 and does not express a desire while touching it, the SCP will attune to that person. The SCP will, when unobserved, disappear and reappear in the possession of whoever it has attuned to, hereafter referred to as the owner. Although it will always appear amongst personal possessions of the owner, the SCP will never appear under direct observation. If all possessions of the owner are being monitored, the SCP will disappear and not reappear until either the owner dies or some personal possessions of the owner are unobserved. In the former case, the SCP will materialize in whatever unmonitored location is closest to its original vanishing point. Each time the owner observes the SCP, they will momentarily stiffen. Observation shows that the owner will, over time, become more and more accustomed to the SCP regardless of whether or not they have seen it, and will eventually begin carrying it with them, usually after 4 to 5 months of owning the item. Once they begin carrying the item, the owner will usually forget its presence and express a desire while holding it. At this point, they cease owning the SCP and will usually forget about it completely. If 810 is attuned to multiple people, then whoever is currently closest to the SCP is considered the owner. Addendum 1. The SCP was recovered in a small Indian village after reports of the village being terrorized by a haunted lamp. During its retrieval, Agent Blank was affected by the SCP, having expressed a desire for sleep while holding it. Agent Blank died 2 weeks later due to sleep deprivation. Further, Agent Blank became the owner of the lamp shortly thereafter, leading to confusion for approximately a month before the unexpected death of Agent Blank and Incident Blank permitted further testing. Addendum 2. Interviews with disposable dudes involved in experiments with 810 have shown that the person involved will frequently be surprised by the change in their own psyche. Standard psychiatric techniques have proven ineffective at reversing the effects of 810, and administration of Class A amnestics have not readjusted subject psyches, although subjects have expressed confusion at their adjustment. Huh. That's interesting. I thought it was a lamp that, like, nobody would want from a name like that, but I guess instead it's a lamp that, if you have the lamp, you're like, man, I wish that. It goes, you will never want that again. So it's like, man, I wish I had some money. You will never have money again. Damn. So, that being said, that about does it for this episode of Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. In the next one, we're going to be checking out the Swamp Woman, a big box of river, a glass shard, pure tones, and snake nut can. I don't like the sound of most of those things, but I guess we'll find out what they are in the next one. So, if you liked it, a like and a subscribe will be groovy. If you didn't, you don't need to do either one of those things, and I will see y'all in the next one. Later!